I'm not sure I'll be going for 10 hours, but thank you, Corey.
Yeah, no problem.
It looks like for the rest of the meeting, we could have the old-time log display.
Oh, there you go.
Right?
Yeah.
Get a beverage of our choice and hot chocolate probably. And enjoy the fire. Pretty warm day for the first day of winter, though.
I will take it.
Days are getting longer now.
Perfect.
Oh, Chad's even got the Christmas sweater going now.
Peter loves my sweater. He's made that comment many times to me today.
Okay, we appear to be live.
We appear to be live. Very good. Thank you, sir. Okay. So I will call the meeting to order. And first item on our agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. If John would lead us in that, that would be great.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. So next up on our agenda is approving the minutes of November 16th, 2020 and November 30th of 2020. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make the motion.
A motion from Corey. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second from Earl. Okay. Any discussions, corrections, or otherwise edits? Okay, hearing none. All in favor of approving the minutes of November 16th and November 20th of 2020?
Would you let me do a roll call, Joel?
Probably ought to do a roll call since we're virtual and we're not seeing everybody. I am a yes.
Okay. Earl Watts,
Yes.
Corey Dow,
Yes.
Jeff Riddell,
Yes.
Jay McIntyre,
Jay just signed on.
Here, I got denied access at first, but now I'm in.
all right.
We were just
So Jay,
voting on approving the minutes. Are you a yes or?
The minutes were fine, yes.
Okay.
Nathan Tyler,
Yeah.
John Ferry,
Yes.
thank you.
Okay. Next up on the agenda is approving the roll of accounts dated November 25th, 2020, in the amount of $198,194.67. Dated December 10th, 2020, in the amount of $551,489.16. And December 17th, in the amount of $294,000 even. Do I have a motion to approve the rolls as presented?
I'll make the motion.
We have a motion from Corey. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
That is Jeff as a second.
Yep.
Okay. Do we have any discussions about those amounts? Okay. Hearing none, all in favor of approving the rolls of accounts as presented, I am a yes.
Earl Watts,
Yes.
Corey Dow,
Yes.
Jeff Riddell,
Yes.
Jay McIntyre,
Yes.
Nathan Tyler,
Yes.
John Ferry.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. If there's no objections, I'd like to make a couple of adjustments to the agenda. I'd like to move up the presentation for the JMG program so that they are able to make their presentation and the students and such that are with us can go about their ways and work diligently on their homework. And we'll proceed with our meeting. Secondly, I think we'll also move the public comments down to just prior to the executive session, so that people have a chance to weigh in prior to we go to executive session. So if there's no objections, we'll make those adjustments. Okay. So given that, we'd be interested in hearing the JMG presentation.
All right, I'll kick it off so I can introduce our few guests this evening. And first of all, thank you to the board for allowing us to do this. When we had met, Sophie and I had talked a couple months ago with Corey, we were hoping to do this in person, but things have transpired since then. So with us this evening, we have Corey Paquette. He's the regional director of JMG. We have Amber Jones, high school JMG instructor. We have Sophie Erickson, junior high school JMG instructor. And we have 3 student guests with us this evening. Pedro Garcia. Pedro is a sophomore. Emma Barlow. Emma is an 8th grader. And Paige Owen, also an 8th grader. And I'm going to turn it over to Sophie, I believe. She has a brief presentation to talk about what the program consists of and the wonderful things that occur at the junior high school and high school. So Sophie, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you very much. Amber and I are both gonna do some presenting as far as sharing a little bit about our program. I am Sophie Erickson, and I have been the JMG specialist at the junior high for the past 3 years now. Having been a part of JMG as a high school student, teaching this class is very important to me. Having the added program at the high school, as well as working so closely with Amber, it gives our students the extra support that they may not get without JMG. It's really meaningful to watch students continue this program year after year and to know that they are continuing to invest in their future beyond Winslow High School. One of my favorite parts of JMG is that it allows me to be a part of their journey even after they leave my classroom.
Sorry, I couldn't figure out how to unmute there for a second. Hi, I'm Amber Jones. Thank you for having us today. I'm also in my 3rd year at JMG, and I've been at Winslow High School for over 4 years now. I also took JMG as a student, and the program had a huge impact on me. Being able to work with Sophie has had a direct link in our student success and their transition into high school. Having that connection with the incoming 9th graders and being able to develop those relationships with them makes that jump from middle school to high school just that much easier for them. I have the privilege of working with some of these students for their entire high school career from freshman to senior. And I also have the opportunity to follow up with them after they graduate for a year and continue to provide those resources after they graduate. And having that continuum of support is really what makes JMG a successful program.
So for those of you that do not know what JMG is, JMG partners with public education and private businesses to offer results-driven solutions to ensure all Maine students graduate, attain post-secondary credentials, and pursue meaningful careers. And we offer middle and high school programs at Winslow. And in the middle school program, we help students develop communication, team building, leadership, and problem-solving skills through project work and adventure-based activities.
In the high school program, we focus a lot on the career attainment, and growth, leadership, and personal skills. And we also include hands-on community service component, teaching students the importance of giving back. Between the two programs, we have about 70 students right now, and that's not including Sophie's Unified Arts program, so she has all of one of those grades. And then we also have the MELMAC program, which helps all of the school with the college and career connections and all of the seniors.
So here at Winslow, JMG is offered as a unified arts course for the junior high students. During a typical school year, that would be offered to all 6th graders, and then 7th and 8th graders can take the program as a year-long elective, and then they also have the option to take it all 4 years in high school. In grade 6 unified arts, we cover growth mindset, team building, and also the transition into junior high school from elementary school. In 7th grade, we talk about personality traits, learning styles, goal setting, and financial literacy. And in 8th grade, we cover public speaking, career exploration, and job attainment, which also helps the 8th graders leaving the junior high to obtain a work permit so that they can get summer jobs.
At the high school level, we focus on career exploration, job attainment, including mock interviews, writing resumes, writing cover letters. Most of the students will do a job shadow, and then we talk about what happens after you get the job, maintaining that job, and the job survival. And a big part of that is also financial literacy.
One of the really popular components about JMG statewide is their student events. We have the Leadership Education Conference, which is for middle and high school students, and it's an overnight field trip to Pine Tree Camp in Rome, and it's for students who have been elected as officers within their school's JMG programs, and they go and work on leadership development and team building skills. And then our 8th graders are offered to earn the trip of Urban Adventure, which is an overnight field trip to the Old Port. The students spend the night at Unum, and all 8th graders in JMG across the state are eligible to go, and they are able to network with other students from across Maine. And then the second day is various workshops so that they can showcase their skills that they've learned in career development. And then at the high school level, we have the Career Development Conference, which is a day-long competition event for juniors to practice their skills and seniors to showcase their accomplishments as they prepare to graduate from high school.
Some other events that we do that are specific to Winslow, we have gone to the Common Ground Fair before. One other activity is that we maintain and organize our school's Raider Closet, which, if you don't know, is our resource that provides food, clothing, and sanitary items for our students, among many other products that are available in there. So we maintain and organize that. In the past, we have done some volunteering with the elementary school. We can't do that this year, unfortunately, because that was a really positive experience for our kids. So hopefully we can do that again soon. We do various guest speakers when we do our career development units. We've done military before. Various businesses will come and speak to our students to get them more interested about different careers. This year we have had to switch it up a little bit and do some virtual Google Meets and Zooms to do those guest speakers. In the spring, we're hoping to still continue with our courtyard project, where the students will work on this a school beautification project. We have a grant to redo the courtyard at the high school, the one that's right outside the guidance office. And then every year we have our opening ceremony. Some of you have been to that before. I've seen a few of you there, which is a very positive experience where we kick off the year, we announce our goals for the year, and we indoctrinate the students into the program. This year it's a little bit different, again, because we could, meet in a big group like it normally would be. So we're going to do a closing ceremony this year, which is a little bit different. It's more about celebrating those successes that we had over the year. And that's kind of on the fence of how we're going to plan to do that. But we're going to do some version of that this year. So our kids can still have that experience.
Our ultimate goal as JMG specialists is to make sure that each JMG student leaves our classroom with pride, direction, and purpose, and knowing what they want out of life and how they're going to achieve it. So at this time, we have a few students with us. So Emma, if you would like to share first, you can go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hi, my name is Emma Barlow. I'm in 8th grade, and this is my 3rd year in JMG. JMG is so much fun, and it has taught me a lot. In JMG, I've learned a lot about money, how to get a job, and how to get into college. Last fall, I got to go to LEC, where all the JMG students that get chosen get to come for one night. I really loved LEC because we got to do different activities with each other, JMG students from Maine. If we did not have JMG in Maine, then kids would not know how to apply to college or to a job. These are all very important things that every kid my age should know. I think JMG is very important and so much fun. Thank you.
Thanks, Emma. All right, Paige.
Hello, my name is Paige Owen, and I'm in 8th grade at the junior high. This is my 3rd year doing JMG. I've continued JMG for the past 3 years because it has taught me in school and out of school life skills that no other class would have taught me. JMG stands out to me because of the teachers, and also I've always had a positive output with this program. In JMG, we do a lot of team building activities, and those activities train us to be able to work together and with many different people. I started JMG thinking, oh, it's just going to be another class, but JMG has helped me with so many different things like my grades and getting all my work done. Also, it has made me want to get up and go to school because of all the positive environment. This program has helped me a lot from just 3 years. I've learned so much more than team building and life skills. Miss Erickson and Miss Jones are just so positive, and they're there to help you if you need anything. I hope we get to continue this program because it will definitely help many more students throughout the years they are in school. It has helped me so much.
Thanks, Paige. And last, we have Pedro.
Hi, my name is Pedro Garcia. I'm a sophomore at Winslow High School, and I'm in my 3rd year of JMG. I signed up for JMG in 8th grade because Ms. Kateria suggested it to me. I was struggling with my grades, and she thought JMG would be able to help me get back on track. In Ms. Erickson's class, we got to go on trips to help students at the elementary schools. We did projects to help around the school, and we did many hands-on activities. We had pictures put up on different projects we worked on, and it showed us what we accomplished, not only as an individual, but also as a team. All these little activities made me feel more welcome to JMG. I continued to take JMG in high school because I knew it would help me with my grades and provide other resources. I think it would help every other student out the same way it helped me and motivate me because the teachers are very positive.
Thank you very much, Pedro. I also sent out a quick infographic that has some more data and statistics about JMG in Maine that you all should have received earlier today. But that concludes our presentation, and we would be happy to answer any other questions that anyone has. Amber and I can take any questions, or the students if you guys have questions for them.
I don't have a question, but I would like to comment to Emma, Paige, and Pedro. Really, thank you for being with us this evening. It's really important to hear your comments and hear your words. Hearing what you have to say, you know, reminds us of the importance of having such programs, and seeing you succeed is truly refreshing for all of us. So thank you for what you're doing for yourselves and for students in the future. Thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman, I noticed Jay raised his hand.
Oh, there it is. Yes. Go ahead, Jay.
Thank you. I want to echo Peter in thanking Emma Page and Pedro particularly. Am I correct that our model is that all students in 6th grade are exposed to JMG, and starting in 7th grade it's an elective?
That is correct. Except for this year, we are not having a 6th grade UA, but that will probably go back to normal next year if hoping that our school year is normal again next year.
Mm-hmm. I was just wondering if this is a model that that you and the administration collectively feel like this is the model that we're likely to stick with, or is there discussion about changing it? I know different schools have a lot of different models. There are some in which even JMG is a class that all high school students participate in a high school near us. Is this model stable? Is this working well for us?
We actually, in the 3 years that I've been here, we've kind of tried out different things, and our schedule has also changed a couple of times. So I think we're still trying to see what fits best within the school schedule so that we are able to serve as many students as possible. We've done the Unified Arts program for all 3 grades in the past. This year, I have 7th graders. I had 6th grade last year, so it's just a matter of figuring out which model is going to work best.
I wonder if any of the students have opinions about that. It sounds like, Pedro, maybe you weren't here in 6th grade or you weren't in the program in 6th grade, but Emma and Paige were. Do you have thoughts about whether or not having all students in the program compared to it being elective, did that change your experience as a student?
I feel like if all the students, especially in high school, because it gets them ready for college and afterlife. But I feel like if in 7th or 8th grade, you have a choice to do the elective and then stay throughout, it makes it I don't know how to word it. Well, starting in 6th grade has helped me throughout 8th grade because I've learned so much more skills that I have not learned before, and it's just helped me a lot.
Thank you. Emma or Pedro, do you have any thoughts or observations?
Yeah, through 6th grade and now JMG has improved and helped me learn even more through the years.
Thank you.
For me, JMG mostly helped me the most with my grades and all the positive energy that came out from all the other people. All the positive energy helped me succeed more, knowing that I have people around me that I can come out to or ask for help for, anything like that. At least I know that I have teachers that will do that for me.
Thank you very much.
Okay, do we have any other questions?
I just wanted to make a comment about the JMG program. Over the past, I believe 4 or 5 years, I've gone in and done the mock interviews, and I just want to say that the JMG students, when they did the mock interviews, they did a phenomenal job with it. I was quite impressed as a business owner to see that actually they interview better than people who actually come in looking for jobs. So they did a phenomenal job there, and I think it's a great program that we should continue, always continue, ongoing. It is a very successful program.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's nice to have the, to have that in the view that Corey has had where he's been involved with the program directly and not all of us has had that direct contact. So I would have to compliment the three students on their presentations and put you on the spot answering some questions and such, and you did a very nice job with those as well. So Pedro, you joined as a sophomore, or was that as a freshman when you joined that? And you said it was a recommendation from someone to join the program?
It was a recommendation from Miss Conterior in 8th grade, and that's
Okay.
when I started.
Okay. All right. I was just kind of curious, I guess, going off of Jay's question. We have the introduction at the 6th grade level. Is there any tools that we use to reintroduce or introduce to new students that might have joined our high school, that when they get to the high school level that they get a taste of what the program offers? Do we have any methodology or do we have the capacity to provide that sort of introduction again, maybe at the high school level for those who might not have picked it up at the 6th grade or maybe wasn't ready for it at that point?
Many of the students can take it as their career prep credit. You can take either that half a year with the career prep class, or you can take my class. So a lot of students get introduced to it that way because they're trying to earn that credit. But then after that, they can continue on for the full 4 years to get just elective credits after that. But a lot of times I recruit students based off of guidance recommendations or other Sophie's recommendations or other teachers, and they end up taking it for that career prep credit. That's kind of one of the recruitment tools, if that kind of answers your question.
So is it, so those students that take it as a career prep or other recommendation, you have a good number of those students that stick with it after that? They find it's valuable to them going forward, I presume?
Yes, I've had quite a few students that have stuck with it. This is the first year I've had seniors. We added that this year, which is really exciting for me because I get to continue with them after they graduate. But I have now, I think 4 or 5 seniors who are on their 4th year taking it. So that was really positive adding that. And I have freshmen that are telling me that they plan to continue to take it as long as it fits in their schedule. So, yeah.
Very good. Having been to a couple of the ceremonies and such, definitely impressed with the group that's there and the presentations that they do. Definitely for students who might not otherwise have an opportunity for public speaking and such, provides a venue that they're comfortable with to learn those skills. So, do we have any other questions or comments on this subject? Okay. Hearing none. Thank you all for your presentation, and especially our students for coming in and joining us adults as we have these meetings. You can come back anytime to school board meetings. You can log on and watch us. We're not exactly must-see TV, but you can come watch us anytime. Thank you.
Thanks,
Great job, everybody. Awesome job.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Corey and Jay, your hands are still up, by the way. All right.
Thank you again.
Thank you, Paige.
Thanks, Paige. Bye, Emma.
Okay. Very good. It's always nice to hear directly from our students. We don't get to hear enough of that. Okay. While we're on that subject, Jason, did you have anything else to add on that? You introduced it, Jason. I just wanted to see if you had anything to wrap up on that. Are you all set?
No, just thank you. I just thought it would be beneficial. A lot of people hear about JMG, but aren't really sure what the philosophy and how it operates. So hopefully that provided just a brief overview of what goes on at each grade. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
And thank you, Mr. Briggs, for including the high school on that as well. Thank you.
Very good. All right. So I guess we're back to where we were on the agenda on report of committees. I know, was it Earl that had something to report on adult ed?
It was.
Yeah, go right ahead with that and we'll see if we got anything else.
Okay. Just to make sure that everybody's aware, adult ed went fully remote on December 9th. They pushed out an email at about 2:10 stating that somebody that worked in the office had come tested positive. So they finished out the fall semester virtually. It was about a week and a half's worth of classes that were conducted virtually. Classes ended on the 18th. They're starting, enrollment starts on the 4th of January. Spring semester is scheduled to start on the 19th. And they're desperately hoping that it is back to being in physical classes.
Okay. Thank you very much. Do we have any other committee reports at this time? Okay. All right. So next up is the administrator's report. So see, looking on my screen, Mr. Bell is at the top of the screen, so we'll start with him.
Alrighty. Sorry, I tried to collect a little bit of information to give you a little meat to my report this month, so it may be a little bit longer than normal, so I apologize if I go 2 hours. We're now able where we can start getting some data collected from PSATs. New stuff was just released last week, or maybe the week before. But anyway, starting to look at the class of 2022, because I was really interested in seeing, now that we've had last spring's layoff and then this year's hybrid, is there any effect on student outcomes on PSATs or SATs? And again, this is wicked early, but it doesn't really show us that students are falling behind. But it's also not showing us that we're not moving ahead or catching up in some of the areas like math or English. So again, it's really early. The only students that we tested this fall, if you remember, were our juniors. Our sophomores are going to be tested in the end of January when we get back. We're working on that plan right now to get the students in to do the PSAT. So then we can look at their PSAT 8-9 from their freshman year, look at their PSAT scores from their sophomore year, and be able to see if there's any sort of change. With our seniors, if you remember when we shut down, they did not do the school day SAT. So we don't have that data from them last year at the end of the year to really, or have anything from this spring where we can really measure that. But just looking at the juniors, it's, I don't know if it's great news, bad news. We've maintained that same pace that we were at. Didn't get worse, didn't get better, if you will, and missed quite a significant amount of instructional time, obviously, last spring. Failure data from the first quarter. We had, at the end of the first quarter, about 70 remote kids. When we looked at our total failures at the progress report in about the middle of October, our failure rate was climbing through the roof. And it was like, okay, what can we do to support kids that seem to just be not getting work done? And that's what most of the failures are. It's just lack of work completion. At the end of the quarter, at the end of the month, total failures were about 65 total failure students that had failed at least one course, which was about 16% of the student body. But the significant piece of that was in school, students who were in school hybrid every other day. We only had about 30 failures, and that was about 9% of the student body, which was, you look at failures, that was pretty good. Our remote students, on the other hand, were 35 of the total 65 failures, and that was about 50% of our students who were remote were failing classes. So what we learned was, which probably is going to be a big surprise, if they're in school, they're producing work, teachers can have that, I'm going to say daily contact, but every other day contact in person for follow-up, making sure kids are turning in assignments. They built those relationships with kids, and students were doing really well. We had a large number of our remote kids who were falling behind because for many different reasons. Some, they never made that connection with the teacher from the beginning of the year. They were still on last springtime. They weren't engaging or re-engaging after they went remote. Sometimes some students were, we haven't been able to contact their parents throughout the entire spring fall. There's a lot of effort being put into contacting the kids who are struggling, especially the kids who are remote. If they're remote, the amount of time Rick spends on the phone trying to track down parents, the guidance counselors, teachers, trying to engage the kids to see what can we do to help you out. There was one night, it was a Friday night, Mr. McNeil we had been trying to get a hold of this parent and a couple of kids all fall. Couldn't get a response. Mr. McNeil finally picked up the phone one night at like 6:30, and he just said, I'm going to see if I can get the parent after they're home from work. And sure enough, parent picked up. And he had gotten in touch with me, and he said, is there any way I can get this parent and this student? And one of the students was a freshman and just anxious about coming to high school. They knew they had to get back into in-person learning, but not being in the school for so long created this little gap, and the anxiety started to rise. So he goes, can I get the parent into the school? And I said, you know what? The offices are closed at 3:30. Can you get them in after 3:30? That way nobody was going to be around the school. It was on a Friday night, and Mr. McNeil, those of you that know Mr. McNeil know that he goes above and beyond at any hour, any minute for kids and families. Anyway, long story short, he got them both into school. Got the student where the student said, "Okay, I can come here." The student started to attend, and then unfortunately we shut down about 3 days later. But at least we got the student in and started to make some progress. Teachers started to build some sort of relationship with the kid that will hopefully, after the holiday break, pay off dividends, which is really good. We have a remediation plan set up for students who failed the first quarter. We're going to be doing our own remediation at the school after hours, kind of like summer school. We have in the budget, there's money in the budget for after school detention, for when we have to do an extended day detention for 3 hours. Well, as you can imagine, we haven't had too many extended day detentions this year. So there's money sitting there that we budgeted for after school help. So what we're going to do is just, we're going to hire some teachers to work with kids after school on remediation plans. We're going to first start with quarter one, those kids who failed or, they were working hard, but just ended up running out of time. We want to focus on those kids first. Then we can move on to quarter two. And eventually, as this second semester opens up, we can start looking at last year's classes and some kids who maybe could have gone to summer school, but because we didn't have summer school, we can start to work with them. Obviously, our number one goal right now is our seniors and making sure that our seniors are on track to graduate. We also recently got set up with Odyssey Wear, which is a little bit more in depth than just a remediation plan that a student would have done in summer school. These are really courses that a kid, maybe they failed freshman, let's say freshman English, and maybe they had a 30 because they didn't get on a good foot their freshman year. Well, they have to redo that whole course. Normally what we would do this time of year, we would be getting them into adult ed. Well, adult ed didn't run the English course that our students needed this fall because they didn't have a lot of signups. We didn't want to wait to see what the second quarter or the second semester at adult ed brought with that English course. So we set up this Odyssey Wear, and we met with Mrs. McCowan, our department chair, a couple of weeks ago, and she went through with her department and picked out, okay, here are the standards, here are the segments within Odyssey Wear that a student could do with our own staff, but it's almost like a remediation course online. They're going to be tied to a Winslow High School staff member after school to get that work done. And so we're going to kind of run our own adult ed, if you will, for those students. And that's going to be primarily our focus with our seniors to make sure that if they had a full course they had to redo, they can do that. Earl, go ahead.
Yeah, are you going to do the Odyssey Wear as a pass-fail, or are you going to actually grade it?
We're going to do pass-fail.
Okay. Yep. If you need any assistance with Odyssey Wear, let me know, because I've got 30 some odd students that I'm responsible for Waterville.
Oh, okay, perfect. Thank you for that. I may be picking up the phone and calling you on that then, because we're new to it. So we just did the training last week. So
yeah, I did it about 2 weeks ago.
Oh, so you got a week on us then.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Some quick stats of the class of 2021. We have 82 seniors and 2 juniors that are going to be graduating early. 73% of those students have applied to college, and another 5% plan to apply in July. Of the 22% of the seniors that are left over, they're planning on entering the workforce. All of those 22% of the seniors, and if you did the math really quick, I didn't. 100% of those students either attend the tech center and are getting on-the-job training right now, or they're signed up for vocational rehab through the state of Maine. Every year, I always give you an update on Admit in a Day. 50% of our seniors participated in Admit in a Day, which was right around Thanksgiving. A little bit before, a little bit after Thanksgiving. 42 students had 58 total appointments. 100% of those students were accepted to the college that they applied to. And here's the big one. Collectively, those 42 students were awarded $766,000 in merit scholarship money. So not only was good news, kids were getting into the schools that they really wanted to right then, but those schools were just throwing money at our students to make sure that it was more affordable to them. And it was based off the merit that the student had done over high school and their grades and the work that they did. So our students did a fantastic job. Mr. McNeil also said, I didn't write this down, I didn't copy it over. Oh, I did. I guess I did. There's another 5% that didn't apply already and get accepted that are planning to apply after the holiday season. So the students, one of the things we talked about, Mr. McNeil and I, about a month ago was, is he seeing a drop off in our kids being ready for school because we shut down last year? One of the big concerns was SATs. Our students didn't do the school day SAT because we were closed down, and a lot of students have really had a hard time finding a place to take the SAT because a lot of schools aren't allowing outside visitors to come in and do SATs. But it sounds like it's not really affecting a lot of our students, which is good. One of the things that is affecting our students, and I sent an email out to parents and to the student body last week, I'm worried about the mental health of our students as well as our staff. It's a major concern for me. School provides some normalcy for kids, and it has been nothing but not normal for almost a year now, where either they weren't in school or they're in school every other day, or if they're in school every other day, maybe their best friend or their entire friend group is on the other day, where they just, nothing is the same. And, you know, we spent a lot of time last spring trying to do things for the class of 2020, making sure that they had this great graduation and didn't miss out on things. And it's the class of 2021 that's missed out on everything right now. And, you know, I feel bad for those kids. I feel bad for all the kids. And, you know, someday, you know, COVID won't be forever. Someday we will come out of this. But with all that being said, I'm really worried about the toll that it's taking on our kids. And, you know, we no longer see the kids in the hallway right now where we can say, hey, you know, Johnny just doesn't look okay today. There's something wrong with him. And somebody can go and check in. We really need the parents to be the eyes and ears. And, you know, parents aren't trained mental health professionals. I'm not a trained mental health professional. But there's certain warning signs that you can look out for. And so I wanted to give that to the parents so they could kind of say, okay, if there's some warning signs here, maybe I need to just reach out to somebody else. And so the email had some warning signs, and it also had some help hotlines, some different people that you could contact. And Audrey Shaw, Leanne Marin, Tom McNeil, and I met, and they were really the brains behind it. I was just kind of putting those resources together. They were a huge help in getting that out. With that being said, I do want to give a shout out to the entire staff and students for how they've tackled remote teaching and remote learning. It's almost cliche to say that this isn't easy on anybody, and it really isn't, but I'm proud of the effort that everybody's putting in. Walking up and down the halls and seeing the excitement in teachers as they teach to a computer screen, but it's almost like the whole class is filled with kids in front of them. It really is inspiring to watch. It really is, and listen to. I think that spark's been missing a little bit this fall with everybody in a mask. And now, you know, teachers are teaching in a room with the door closed. They don't have to wear a mask, and none of the students need to wear a mask. And there were some comments that I heard teachers say is, you know, a student would be like, oh, that's what you look like. Or the teacher saying, oh, that's what you look like. And, you know, because they get to see each other for the first time. Another huge shout out to our nursing staff. You know, we have 3 incredible nurses that work for our district with Sarah, Tammy, and Stephanie. They are phenomenal. They are ready to go at a moment's notice. We also have our lead nurse that works for both sides. Actually, I think she's fully employed by Waterville, but she works with our nurses as well, Melanie LaCourse, and she's been phenomenal as well. They really do, at a moment's notice, 24/7, can be on the phone, and they're tremendous. I want to close with some positive holiday remarks, and not just about my sweater. I've mentioned this every year, I think, but the support of our community over the holidays truly is remarkable. And it's things like this that I do think sets Winslow as a community apart from any other community that either I've ever lived in or ever heard about. So here's what the community's done. And I've left out names because I haven't asked permission from anybody to say their name or their business, but I just want you to know what's going on. So several community donations have bought gifts for families at Winslow High School. We had one family give a good donation to help feed 10 needy families with holiday meals. Our Student Senate's doing a coin drive right now for the Barbara Bush Children's Hospital. That's currently on hold because they were midway through when we closed down, and I said they had to stop with any sort of soliciting of funds on that when we come back in January. Food donation that we received today by the police department and the rec department that helped to refill our Raider closet. JMG sent gift cards to families for groceries. Our staff has adopted families for gifts. NHS did a toy drive. And there were also several large monetary donations that got funneled to the Raider Closet to help just restock as the year goes on. And those donations totaled over $1,500. And those are the things that happen almost on a daily basis around the holidays. And I've witnessed it for 8 years now, and it truly is what makes Winslow Winslow. And it was worth repeating for you. But that's my lengthy school board report. If there's any questions or comments, I will gladly take them.
Yes, Mr. Bell.
Go ahead, John.
Two things. One thing that I think someone's already brought up, but I will echo it if it already has been mentioned. I think where we're going to see the biggest impact will be next year for anyone taking the course. It's a prerequisite for the follow-up course. I think that's where you'll see if anyone's really falling behind is where they have to start up and where, ongoing courses like in math and language, you just can't know how far behind someone is until they start that next course. And then my second comment, Mr. Bell, was I really appreciate you mentioning the mental stress awareness that you all seem to have, because I think that's the hidden thing of COVID that affects all of us, as well as the students and staff. It's just an everyday thing when you're living through these times. So thank you very much.
No problem. And John, you're absolutely right. We don't know the long-term effects of what COVID is going to mean on student learning. I think we're going to be digging out this for years.
So, Chad, I had one question. You indicated the after-school remediation. Of course, we had money left over from, detention, those sorts of things. I just wanted to be sure that if that's a program that's working, and it seems to, I can't see how it wouldn't, that I'm assuming that we don't have so much detention, that there's limited funds there, and that funds aren't a problem in helping with that remediation.
No, I think I have other places where I can find money. Another one is summer school that obviously we didn't do, but budgeted for. So I'm not worried about that. I think the students who need the remediation and are willing to do it after school will find a way to make it work.
Okay, very good. I know with the new COVID relief money that Congress passed, supposedly there's money in there for education, but who knows what kind of shape that's going to take. So we'll see. So, any other questions for Mr. Bell?
I think Jay has his hand up.
Oh.
Thank you. Along the lines of the point that John made about the mental health, I think we've been really lucky so far, not just in Winslow, but in the state in general, that I'm not hearing about any suicide spikes, those car accidents that may or may not be accidental. I'm not hearing about that stuff, but with the level of stress that our young people are experiencing, I know that when tragedies happen in schools, a typical response is the school is opened for students to come in and have some grieving experience. You bring in some outside counselors, you set up some sort of an opportunity. And I looked over the stuff that you sent out, the Strength in Maine, et cetera. And I would just like the administration somewhere in the back of your minds as you talk to your guidance staff, when or if we get into a situation in which we typically would pull students together in order to get a chance to grieve and process, how might we approach that? in the current environment, because if it happens very suddenly, obviously.
Good point. Thank you.
Jay, I think one of the things that we would look at in that situation, my daughter's a family therapist in Minnesota, and what she's doing right now is teletherapy, because that's gone remote, and there's no reasons why we couldn't quickly put something together with the schools and make that happen.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that somebody had that eventuality in the back of their mind so that there's some preparation.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jay.
Yeah, I think, it's obviously stressful times, but, I think we have a lot of staff and community that are providing support in many ways, and hopefully, we all get through this in some reasonable form and come out the other side of this. The vaccine is coming, so. All right, if we're all set with Mr. Bell, does Mr. Hensby have anything to add to the high school presentation?
No, I'm good. I just want to wish you guys all a happy holiday. Enjoy your families, be safe, and do the best that you can. And, thank God that what we have. Thank you very much for the job that I have, and I do miss the kids, very much so. Thank you.
Thank you, Rick. Okay, Mr. Briggs.
Good evening. I'm going to echo with Chad with some thanks to start things off. I want to thank our staff and students to get to where we're at. December 21st is pretty remarkable, and to see the confidence growing with our teachers compared to the first week of school with technology and remote learning it's amazing. We obviously continue to learn with the remote learning, so just want to give them a shout out. Peter and this entire admin team that's online right now, we've dealt with three COVID cases and situations with our nursing staff, and with each situation we continue to learn and grow. And I'm just really thankful to be part of this team with those situations. So thank you, Peter, and the rest of the group. As you know, or probably know, our 7th and 8th graders were designated red back, I believe it was December 7th. So they've been fully remote learning since that date. Our 6th graders have been in person, for those that elect to be in person, this entire trimester. When everyone is in person, there's about a quarter of our school population that is chosen to go remote. So we have approximately 64 students now that have chosen remote. So when we return on the 4th, that number is fluctuating quite a bit with the number of cases, as you can imagine, in the situations over the last few weeks. We've got 20 remote learners now in grade 6, so that number has spiked quite a bit. 19 at the 7th grade level and 25 at our 8th grade level. And we've always been pretty high right from the get-go with that 8th grade group as remote learners. Our failure report for the first trimester was higher than it traditionally has been in my 5 years in tracking this. Approximately 22 in the 6th grade failing a class in the first trimester, 14 in our 7th grade class, and 20 in the 8th grade class. There is obviously, as Chad alluded to, some connection with the remote learners, but what we're finding, we meet once a week with our at-risk group, and that's Mr. Hensby, our school counselor, our school resource officer, to look at attendance, grades, and mental health. And what we're finding of most of our failures, attendance is key, whether they're electing to come in person and not coming, or remote and not showing up on the remote. But the mental health is off the charts, as we were just discussing. So our remediation steps is not only the academic piece and trying to find out that it's connecting with families. Ms. Couture has done a fantastic job connecting with many families over the last few weeks, as has Rick, just to try to find these students. Typically, a student will show up absent. They're on our list. Teachers will notify the parent. Maybe the parent doesn't get back to them, so it gets handed to Rick, myself, and our school counselor. And a lot of these situations, the families, there's a lot of mental health with the parents. So that's been a major task for us over the last few weeks, is connecting them with our social workers and counseling within the community. So that's the correlation we're seeing with a lot of our failures. A lot of students that typically have passed over the last few years that have not been have not failed a class, but due to the circumstances, really struggling. Our leadership team will continue to look at the academic piece as well. We're looking at what types of work is given. We're still trying to find that balance of too much work, not enough work, you know, and all the core standards, and trying to touch these kids and lesson planning and all that, and staying afloat in the first couple months. But that's been a lot of the conversations in our leadership team. We have the Say Something app. If you recall, we implemented that last year as a district from grades 6 through 12. It's an anonymous reporting, and we are finding a lot of reporting. Kids can text from home just saying, hey, I'm really concerned about so-and-so. It could be drug use. It could be, again, the mental health piece. So that has been a really good tool for us, especially for the kids that we're not seeing in person. So we get a report with our team within the school, and we can reach out to the families. So that Say Something has been a bonus. And we're hoping to have everybody back on the 4th after the holidays. And we are currently budget prepping for, which is hard to believe already. And that's all I have, unless you have any questions tonight. Thank you.
Okay. There's no questions for Jason. Anything? Okay. Very good. We'll go to Mrs. Gower.
Hello, everyone. So the elementary school has remained in person. Can we have a silent cheer for that? We are still here. Our kids are still smiling when they enter the building. Our staff, although working tremendously hard and very stressed, still is smiling. Today was Ugly Sweater Day. Apparently Chad got the memo. But you know, again, I'm not trying to make light of the situation, because it's really...
Heck, Erica.
Sorry,
I'm still here.
Oh, right. There you are. Hi. You know, things are tough. I mean, the whole situation is tough. I think that everybody is doing the best that they can do. So Chad and Jason stole my thunder a little bit, because I was going to say some things about staff and nurses, but I'm still going to. You know, our staff really continues to work hard. They, you know, I think when the junior high and the high school went remote, I think there was a little bit of like, oh, okay, you know, and thinking about what does that mean for us. I was concerned that more, you know, that the teachers would have more concern, but they knew that we were doing all the things we needed to do. We were okay to be in person, and so we just kept moving forward. As I said, our students, they really are. They come in the morning, and even though now they've got masks and they got to have hand sanitizer, now they have to learn to take off their gloves to get the hand sanitizer. That's a whole thing. They're ready to be at school. The teachers have done a great job. You know, yes, they can't move around quite as much as they used to, but I've been in classrooms doing observations a few times, and they're using the TV screens to do Jack Hartman. If you never heard of Jack Hartman, he's a person who got really wealthy off making kid songs, and it's, you know, counting by fives. It's anything you can think of. And students, one of the classrooms I went in, there's a star right behind the student's desk. So they know that this is the space that I get to stand and move around. I'm still not in other people's space, but I still get to stand up and move and do all the kinds of things kids can do. It's not the same, but the teachers have done a great job at making it as engaging as possible. Stephanie Cho, our school nurse, is an absolute rock star, as are the other two nurses. The amount of time and energy and effort that they have put into not only contact tracing when we've had the need to do that, but I know in my building, Stephanie calls any of the families where we don't know why a student is out to make sure that it's not somehow connected to COVID-related symptoms, so that we're really keeping track of those kids the best that we can to make sure we know why they're out. If they're out related to symptoms, that we're addressing it and giving them the information that they need to know so that we can stay in school. So she's a rock star. So our next round of general education intervention meetings, which is GEI, is in January. We also have assessments in January. So that's when we'll get a better picture of how things really have gone since the beginning of the year. We know that that there's going to be a gap, but I think with the information we gather from January, we'll have a better picture moving forward of what we need to do for the spring and then in future years. Our attendance committee meets every 2 weeks, and in the last month or so, we've had 10 students switch to remote. We've had 4 new students register, and we actually have 2 new students who are starting after the school. Make that 3 new students who are starting after the school year. So even with all of this, our numbers do seem to be going up. Things are going as well as they can at the elementary school. We're all doing the best we can. So that's really all I have.
Thank you.
Okay, any questions for Erica? I will have to say, I'll just pick up on Erica's theme, having heard bits and pieces from Peter and just from what they're saying about the nurses, but definitely goes further than that with all the administrators, that whenever there is a positive or a possible positive, the amount of time that they spend contact tracing is pretty incredible. Obviously, that is on top of all the other things that they have to do in a normal day. And oddly enough, it seems these things seem to fall on Friday afternoons or Saturdays. So, it tends to get into their weekends, I think, pretty well also. So for those who might not be aware, there's an awful lot of time being spent on such things, and just want to make sure everybody's aware of the time and effort that both the nursing staff and the administration is putting in on just that one subject alone, let alone all the other difficulties of operating the schools in these times. So, any questions for Erica? Okay. Hearing none, we'll see. Does Mr. Price have anything to add to the elementary school experience?
I think it's already been very well said by all of the previous reports. So the only thing that I would add is that every day there's nothing short of amazing that's happening everywhere, from all staff to all students. And I just want to thank everybody that's providing all of their support from all of their roles, transportation, food service, custodial, buildings, grounds, maintenance, our leadership team, and our staff to pull this all off. And thank you, school board, for your support that you give us. So thank you.
All right. Thank you. While we're on administrators, Chad, when you had the sweater, I mean, everybody's made comments, but I think we need a little better shot from your camera. You're so close to your screen that we can't really see the full effects of the sweater. Oh, there we go. All right. You're muted, so we can't hear you anyway.
Oh, I just said, I don't even think I got spaghetti sauce on it, so I'm doing pretty good.
Well, we went.
Where's my daughter over my shoulder? Well, to the side of me, she goes, "Yeah, you did." So I don't know.
Very good. Thank you. All right. Let's see. Who else we got? I got to look down through the list. I don't have everybody on my screen here. Who do we have on here? Mary Boyle, do you have something for us?
Actually, I do. I guess I'll sort of follow on from a few references that were made by both Chad and Erica related to assessments. I wanted to bring you up to date with where the state stands in terms of their assessment plan. For those of you who've been on the board for a while, you know that usually January, February or so, we come to you with a presentation of MEA and SAT data. And that information is based on assessments that are given in March each year. And obviously this past March, all of those assessments were canceled when school went into lockdown. And so many of us assumed that those assessments also would not be administered this year, partly because they're time consuming, because there's a lot of questions related to test security, and we have kids who wouldn't all be able to take them at the same time. Kids who are attending school remotely provide some challenges. So we assumed, I think many people assumed that that state level assessment would be waived again this coming March. However, we recently learned that the state plans to move ahead with assessments, although they're taking it in a totally different direction. They have canceled their contract with the company that provided the MEA and that also provided the SAT to all juniors. And they're in negotiations with a different vendor. And one of the reasons that they cite is that the turnaround time on the MEA was so long that the data that we got was not really actionable by the time we received it. And you can picture that because if we have students who are in, for instance, in 4th grade in March when they take the test, by the time anybody gets the results, it's, late fall, and they're in the next grade already. So it's a really tricky thing for teachers to be able to take any action on. So that's one of their arguments for why they wanted to move away from that. In addition, though, the state is really concerned about where kids are right now. Given the fact that we had the school closure last spring, given, the nature of the scheduling that's gone on this fall, they want information available to schools as soon as possible about where their students are. And so they are going to require school districts to administer these assessments in late January and again in the spring. These would take the place of the MEA and the SAT. So that means that these would be ELA and math assessments that would be given to students in grades 3 through 8 and 11. Now, there's a lot of speculation about who the vendor is, and we've been sort of promised that we will know that before the Christmas break. So I think at any point now, we will know. And there's a lot of speculation that the vendor is NWEA, which is a testing company that's used by a lot of districts around the state already, which could be a plus for some folks because it means the learning curve would be, they would already be a leg up on that. And we don't know for sure. But if it is something like the NWEA, these tests would be online. They're going to be online. And those tests would be about between 30 and 50 minutes in length. They're very different in nature from the old MEAs in that the MEAs were covering specific material for a grade. If it is the NWEA, the test is very different because it's an adaptive test. And so it adjusts to the level where the student trying to find the level where the student is comfortable performing. But that's a little speculative at this point. But at this point, we know grades 3 through 8 and 11 will be some measure for ELA and math, late January and spring. The department also says that this is not their long-term plan. For one thing, because this is a very top-down decision, it's kind of a fast decision. But they say that it's a response for what they see is an urgent need for all schools to really get a good grip on where their students are. And then they expect to put a working group together to develop more of a long-term assessment plan. There were already a few other assessments that had been planned for the spring, and those are going to go ahead. There's testing for ELL students, our English language learners. There are modified alternative tests for some of our special needs students. There's a new science assessment that's in the works, and that one's a little bit, more along the lines of the old MEA, and that would be for students in grades 5, 8, and 11. And those already had a testing schedule planned, so these would be back in addition to that. Now, some folks have wondered whether this is going to be information that's used for a school report card. You remember the data dashboard and the school report cards, and the message that the Department of Education is pushing out is that this is really not meant to be something that rank orders schools, but is really meant to be information that is useful at the school level. So I don't know whether this will be publicly available information. I don't know what the nature of the reporting will be. But it really is intended to give teachers a sense of where their students are. Obviously, if you've never given this assessment before, then when you give it the first time, it's hard because you don't have any frame of reference. That's why they want to do it again in the spring. I think probably the biggest consideration or concern that many people might have about this is the doing away with the every junior taking the SAT. Chad was talking about the PSAT, and that's a choice that the school has made to purchase that. In their notes of why they made this decision, the Department of Education has said that because Maine colleges are not requiring SATs any longer, although I think there are a couple of exceptions to that. I think the engineering program and the nursing program at the university are requiring that, but otherwise, because they are not, colleges are not requiring, and the Department of Education is saying, and have no plan to return to requiring SATs as part of admission packages, the state didn't feel the need, as they had in the past, to support that SAT for all students. So schools would be welcome to host a Saturday SAT administration if they wanted to, like, they did before everyone was taking it, all juniors were taking it on an in-school day, but the state will no longer pay to support that. So I think as our teachers have been working so hard, I'm not sure that they are fully aware yet. This is pretty new news that's come out, but this is going to be something that we're going to have to contend with for January. On the plus side, we have the one-to-one computers, so putting the students in an online environment, our teachers are going to be more familiar with it. Obviously, our students are going to be more familiar with it, but it is still going to be one more thing for folks to have to tackle. But wanted to bring you that news, and we'll keep you posted. And I'm happy to answer any questions if you have them.
Mary, if I can just add to that, because I know it probably raises some concerns about our current juniors who are not getting that opportunity to take the SAT. We do have a tentative plan that we're working on right now to make sure that we can offer that to our juniors still this year. Brings after this year is something different, but we have some funds available in the budget that can help with that right now. So,
will you have problems comparing data with different testing?
Absolutely, Corey. And it's interesting. I was thinking about that because the MEA has been around for a while, but there have been many iterations of the MEA, and that has been a challenge for us in kind of coming up with any sort of trend. They had this one stretch of the MEA, and then they switched, if you remember, the Smarter Balanced, which was a different test entirely. Then they kind of went back to this version of the MEA, and and so they really, you remember when we would give these presentations, we'd say, well, we only have this many years worth of data. And then last year with the gap, I think that was in some ways a justification for the state because they said, you know, we already have a gap in the data. So the trend line had, in their mind, had kind of ended. And I think they saw that as an opportunity to kind of take things in a different direction.
So what does that
it's
mean?
going to be a while before we know. And you know, for some schools, if it is NWEA, and some schools, and Winslow, in fact, had used NWEA a number of years ago, we had moved away from it at the time because it wasn't aligned with our curriculum. It was sort of aligned to its own curriculum, and we were aligned to the state standards. And so and then another consideration was our capacity in terms of technology meant that it really was kind of burdensome on the computer lab folks to be able to assess all of those students. Those two concerns have gone away because NWEA has moved to align with the Common Core. And as I said, we have increased capacity for technology. So I think the reasons that we had moved away from it are no longer causes, in my mind, for concern. But again, we don't know for sure if that's what it is.
So do we fly blindly for the next year on data? Like what do we have to do to shift gears in the meantime?
Well, I think one thing that's useful is that we do have some other local assessments. You know, we had always kind of looked at these as external measures that kind of kept us on track. So we still do have other measures, such as at the elementary school and up through the junior high for reading, we have the DRA. So I think we can look, it'll be a different way of triangulating. You know, we used to talk about triangulating the data, that we would look to how predictive are our local assessments of how the students might do on this. So I think what we can do is see how this test behaves compared to other things. Right now, we're on shifting sands. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, I'd have to say I'm not surprised that we're having a change because, you know, we're about on schedule for a change. You know, it just comes on a frequency enough that, you know, just when we start to get data, something changes on it. So whether it stays as the MEA or at some other platform, the NWEA, of course, Kyle spent a lot of time with back in the day. On the plus side, if it is something of that type, the timeliness of the results is very actionable because, you know, you've got real data very quickly, and I always thought that was a useful tool when we had access to that, assuming we're measuring the right things, of course. But
well, and assuming we're drawing the right conclusions from that data, I think one of the things that will remain to be seen is if it's the NWEA, they generally have several broad categories. So you'll get information about student performance within the categories. It's just not really super diagnostic for students to know exactly what the skills are. And interestingly, right before all of this news hit, the elementary school had been having conversations about putting a measure, because we knew we didn't have the MEA, and we were looking at, well, maybe we need to really be thinking about something that is external. So we were having conversations, and NWEA was one of the options. I have a feeling the other two options that we are looking at are, if it's not the NWEA, that the state has picked as one of these other ones that we've been talking about at the elementary school. So, I mean, I think we've been thinking along these lines too. So I think we're just going to have to roll with it, and we're just going to have to just see what we find. I think that certainly in January, we aren't going to be able to draw very much in the way of conclusions from it. You know, maybe differences from January to late spring. That'll be a different picture.
very good. Any other questions for Mary? Okay. Thank you very much, Mary.
Thank you.
Nice that you get an opportunity to talk about curriculum and testing and not about grant
You
writing.
don't even know, Joe. I've said my motto right now is money does not buy my happiness. Although it buys Kyle's happiness, because today there was a really fun delivery of some really great playground equipment. We've got some teachers have really worked hard to think creatively about things. And so we've been able to provide a lot of technology support for folks, some terrific outdoor activity equipment so that phys ed classes can get outdoors. So, I mean, it has been good. It has been good. So,
yeah. Well, your writing skills have obviously paid off in many successful grants.
There we go.
Creative writing is a useful tool. Great, thank you. And all right, Kyle, Kyle, looks like your dog wants to get into the picture. Let's see. I've got Jim on my screen. Has Jim got some information to add for us this evening?
I don't have much to add. Right now, as you guys all know, athletics is suspended till January 4th. Right now, Kennebec County is still green. So if we come back to school on January 4th, we could start athletics. But that could change the next time they do a county designation, which will be next Friday, not this Friday.
Yeah, the word is that Kennebec is kind of, obviously we're not where we were before, and it's been climbing. So hopefully it doesn't go yellow, but we'll see. Okay, let's see. Who else we got on here? Shelley Phillips.
Well, things in the world of maintenance have been very, very busy. We've been doing a lot of catch up. Charlie's been working extremely hard in the buildings. A lot of the special projects that we've been working on are wrapping up. A lot of the equipment that we've ordered has been delivered and being delivered. Custodial staff are working extremely hard at both buildings. The sub situation, as you know, for my department is just as fragile as it is for the teaching department, but we're doing the best we can with that. But we're doing a lot of work. We're getting a lot of things completed and rounded up for the COVID, the CRF monies to make sure we're where we need to be. And along with that, we have the snow, dealing with snow. So that's always fun. But thank you to everybody for the approval way back along for the sander on Charlie's truck. I think that's made a huge difference in a lot of ways. It's safer for Charlie to be out there and spot sanding with a piece of equipment rather than him slinging it with a shovel and a spade from the tractor bucket. So I think that was a very wise choice for us to do that. And thank you for that, school board. But we're doing the best we can with what we have, and we're moving forward, keeping our buildings safe and disinfecting and sanitizing as we should, and keeping everybody safe.
Very good, thank you. Anyone have any questions for Shelley? Oh, Jay has his hand up. Is that? I just saw it.
That's me.
What can I do for you, Jay?
I just wanted to say that, as we all know, your department flies under the radar and the fine work that they do, and we wouldn't have the elementary school still going to school, and we wouldn't have lasted as long as we did at the middle school and high school without your team. So please pass on my thanks, and I'm sure I'm speaking for the whole board.
Jay, thank you for that. I really, truly appreciate that. I'm extremely proud of my crew. They worked hard to keep the building safe, and keep the buildings clean. And they take a lot of pride in what they do because they feel that that's their family in those buildings also. So thank you for that.
Definitely with all the new equipment and so forth coming in, it just added to the workload to get all that in place and installed.
But they're excited about it. They really are. They're excited about all the new things that are coming in and what a difference it's going to make. You know, we're excited for spring to get here, to get past all this time of the year, so we can really reap the rewards of all this new equipment that's coming in. So I think everybody's real excited, and I'm excited for the elementary. They've got a lot of things happening over there. I understand Santa Claus is going to make a big visit over there over vacation, so that's exciting, and a lot of exciting things are happening. So there is a silver lining to all of this, and I keep thinking about that because it's going to better our community, and it's going to better our schools for our children, so that when we do finally, and we are able to take a breath of fresh air and say, there, we made it through all that, and we're still safe. It's going to be an exciting place to be here in Winslow in our schools.
Very good. Thank you, Shelley. And I agree with your sentiments on that. We will get through the other side of this.
Yes, we will.
Will, are you still on? And do you have anything to add on the technology front?
Nothing specifically. We're just, trying to keep up with everything and make sure everybody stays connected. And, I guess at this point, everybody has computers that needs computers. And I think families that need connectivity have that. And we'll just keep trucking along.
I hadn't heard anything specific to when we went full remote that I'm presuming that all the connections and the way doing that full remote, that everything has been working as well as can be expected.
Yeah, well, we did have some odd little network gremlins that we've been chasing for the past couple months, and our internet service provider replaced some equipment out, near Colby, and that helped with some stuff. And there's just been little thises and that's, but I think in general, it's going all right.
Very good. That's good to hear. All right. Let's see. Who have I missed?
I wanted to speak as to what Will, Jay made me think of this. Talk about behind the scenes, not getting the. Obviously, Will doesn't have students necessarily right in front of him every day, but the computer department has been really tested during this COVID crisis and come through for us every time. So they're another department that really doesn't get the notoriety.
Definitely to go as well as we have full bore into remote at the drop of a hat in a day for the junior high and high school, along with obviously all the other hybrid and such that's going on. The amount of technology that's been stepped up both between from a system standpoint and also from an educational standpoint in regards to staff learning has been pretty tremendous. So kudos to everybody on that. Am I missing? Who am I missing? I must be missing somebody on this list. Who am I missing?
Transportation.
Do we have? Who do we have for transportation? Do we have somebody on for that? Who are we missing, Peter?
Food service.
Yeah, I don't see John with us this evening.
How you doing? Good evening.
There he is.
Oh, there he is. Okay.
As far as food service goes, really, I'm just really happy with the way Barbara at the elementary is leading her team, and Renee at the junior high and high school. I haven't yet to see what normal is as far as school work, so I'm really anxious for that, because a couple things that I'm learning right now is when the kids are at school, we're doing a lot better job reaching them, giving them meals. Right now, the high school's doing a great job, effort-wise, trying to reach as many kids as possible, doing bus runs, trying to bring food to them, but we really reach the majority of the students when they're in school. So for me, I just can't wait till we get to that other side of everything, so we can really kind of make it more of an impact. But again, kudos to the two kitchen managers and their staffs. They're doing a fantastic job. Like everyone else, they've had a lot of stresses with everything, but I mean, they're overcoming everything, and all three schools have been very supportive of me, and I appreciate that. And like I said, I can't wait for things to get normal, so I can really try to make a bigger difference at this point.
All right. Good. Did anybody have any questions for John? Okay. Very good. All right. I see Mary Beth is on. Mary Beth, did you have anything from the WEA?
That might be Jim using her computer.
No.
No, I'm at work. She's at home.
Okay. Mary Beth must have stepped away. All right. So did we have, did Jennifer have anything from special ed to add to the conversation at this time?
Hello. I was just going to let everyone know that we recently had an in-service for the ed techs. We had evaluating circumstances and creating outcomes. He was a BCBA and he did training for the elementary and in the afternoon, and in the morning, the junior high and the high school. Reviewed some behavior techniques with them, and also gave an opportunity for questions and answers, so they were able to discuss situations and strategies. So I think that was a pretty productive training for the ed techs.
Okay. Very good. Thank you. Any questions? Any other questions before we move on?
Yes, I did. I had one, but I don't know if Peter wants to address it during superintendent's report, because I was curious about the update on the buses and how we're doing on bus drivers. So I don't know if it's the right time for that or.
Sure, John. When you say the buses, do you mean the buses that we have with the COVID funds, or?
Right. I was just curious as to the
Okay.
staff.
Yep. So our buses are here. They're on the road. They're being used from the COVID buses, and our bus drivers, the ones that we had in quarantine, are back this week. And we have another driver who's going to be returning after the holidays. Who was out? He's been out on medical leave. He'll be returning, so we'll be in better shape after the holidays with our fleet in terms of people and drivers.
Very good. Okay. If we're all set with, that's the administrator reports. Finance assistant report. Amanda, do you have something for us?
I do. Good evening. We are to 46.58% of the fiscal year. 45.47% of the budget has been accounted for. If you remove encumbered items, 43.93% has actually been spent.
Okay, so we're doing pretty well there.
Far so good.
Very good. Any questions for Amanda? Amanda's just ramping up, getting ready for budget season. She's excited.
I am actually a little bit excited.
Were you with us last year for budget season?
I was brand new, so I think
Okay.
I'm going in this year feeling a little better about things.
All right, you're experienced now. All right, very good. Thank you, Amanda.
You're welcome.
All right, superintendent's report.
Yeah, just quickly, I'll kind of tie in a couple of things. And part of what I'm going to tie into is an agenda item that was there on the agenda with the closure, update on the closure in the junior high and high school. You know, listening to everybody's comments during the administrative reports is a real positive theme that you hear, and that's working as a team and working together. I can't stress enough the importance of that happening in this district. Amanda just said that we are 40-something% through the year. Think about that. It's hard to believe that we are that much into the year with this COVID year, with everything that's gone on. And I'm looking at the screen and I'm looking at faces and I'm looking at people. I'm looking at Jim right now. We've asked Jim to kind of oversee the delivery of lunches on the buses. We're back to doing that again because we've got kids at high school and junior high are remote. Looking at Mary and the amount of work that she's done with these grants to make all these things come in. Shelley, I mean, I can go on and on and on, all the building administrators. It has been an incredible piece of work to get it to this part halfway through the year. And then I go back to Shelley's comment with the silver lining that we're going to be better as we get out. She's right. There are a lot of things that are going to be better, but it's not coming at the lack of expense of everybody's time, energy, and health. So that's a real important piece for us to always keep in mind, that this is a very wearing time on all of us. And if I might add a little bit of frustration, and what I mean by that is we have taken a great deal of pride in this community to say that safety is going to be the first thing that we're always going to be concerned about. And if anything, we have done things out of an abundance of caution, which includes protecting the identity of people when we have a positive case. And so some of the cryptic messages that I send to the community leaves little to be known about the situation, and it leaves many in frustration and perhaps even raises some anxiety because they want to know more. But giving them more tells who the person is that may have tested positive. And that's not what we want to do, because we don't want to put that kind of pressure on people. And we don't want people to feel badly in that way. The reality is we've had very few cases. The transmissions are not coming from inside our buildings, which is something we should be very proud of. But what is happening are situations that are out of our control. And I go back to the junior high, high school situation. Somebody, I think it was you, Joel, mentioned that we find out about a lot of these things on Friday nights or weekends. You are 100% accurate. I can't tell you how many weekends the administrators, the nurses, we've spent 5-6 hours together on a Saturday or a Sunday doing contact tracing and whatever needs to be done so that we can open the buildings up on Monday and have eliminated as many students as, as many close contacts as possible so that we open up safely. This last situation was one individual with the junior high, high school, one individual. But we didn't find out about it until Monday morning after everyone was in school. That is the worst possible nightmare for us, because you don't know, because of the sharing of areas, you just don't know what's happened with that individual and with the other kids that could potentially be direct contacts. So it was a very challenging day, to say the least. And after all was said and done, we went with an abundance of caution and made the decision to go remotely. However, with the cryptic message, and you shut down a junior high and high school, you think, oh my goodness, you've got some major issues, when you don't. Out of an abundance of caution, you did what you needed to do. So there's a little bit of frustration there on the parts of all of us because we are all working so hard to keep our kids in school because we know how important it is for them to be there. And we've said that already. And we know the reasons why. But having said all of that, I am very proud of everyone, the teachers, the students. I was out in the front side parking lot this morning, and I'm seeing these little guys get out of their car, and they've got their backpacks that weigh more than them with their mask and their cookie bags and their gifts for the teachers. It was just one of those moments where this is the new norm for now, and we're still making it happen. Very proud of everyone, and I understand that everyone's exhausted. But I'm very proud of everyone for getting us to this point and for the work that we continue to do and will need to do in order to get through this year. Thank you, Joel.
Thank you, Peter. Any questions for Peter? Yeah, it's we're getting there. We're almost halfway through this year, so 2021's coming, so we'll get there. Thank you. So moving on to old business. We have the second reading of policy GBIA, staff participation in political activities. We already had the first reading. Past that, so
yeah, just a comment on that, Joel. You know, this is a second reading. The first reading was unanimous by your policy committee. Jay brought up some good questions about this in terms of do we have other policies that address language that may not be appropriate in schools, and we do. And as Jay also asked about main school management, because those are template policies. But in this particular case, this policy was vetted by Drummond and Woodson because that's the route that they've gone with these policies that we get as sample policies. So we felt really good about the clarification of language in this particular policy in terms of what those political activities were.
very good. I'd say that as a general rule, I think we do fairly well with this. And I would say, and we've gotten through this political season that we've just been through, that was trying on many, and so I hope that things get better from there, quite honestly, from a political discourse standpoint. So we shall see. But do we have a motion to approve the second reading of policy GBIA?
I'll make a motion.
Is that Earl? Who just made that motion?
Yep, I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Earl made the motion.
Jeff will second.
Jeff has the second. Any discussion, comments, or otherwise? Questions? Jay, you have your hand up?
Yeah, I did send a couple of questions to Peter that he took his time to answer. I think this is pretty close to the line about how we can legally limit political speech. Staff members do not lose their free speech rights when they enter the schoolhouse door. And I think a lot of this is very straightforward and very understandable. I think where it's closest to the line is letter D under political activities. Wearing apparel with political messages or displaying campaign paraphernalia while performing work. That is speech. I'm not a school law expert, but I have a pretty solid background in it. And apparel that has messages is speech. Things you put on your bulletin board in your classroom is speech. And we do have rights. The school certainly has the opportunity in the educational environment to place some limitations around those rights, but those limitations, as my understanding of law, is that there has to be that speech disrupts the educational environment, the educational process. I think we can do this. Obviously, if Drummond Woodsum thinks it's legal and I think it's not, you should listen to them every day, not me. However, I think limiting apparel with political messages or displaying campaign paraphernalia, I mean, that's a Collins 20 on somebody's bulletin board. And I think that our students, I hope, are sophisticated enough that that's not interpreted as the school making a political choice. Some of the other stuff, campaigning, trying to influence students, I think that's pretty clear that we can limit that, but limiting somebody from putting something that says Collins 20 on their bulletin board, I think is pretty close to the line. So I just want us to be aware that this is a very tight policy, and having thought it over, I'm willing to vote in favor of it, but I just want people to be aware that, I think when Drummond and Woodsum was involved in drafting this, they were asked to draft something that was very, very tight. And I understand why we would want to do that, but I just wanted to express some concern. We will faculty express their personal opinions, and I think I could go either way on this policy. And given the fact that it had the support of all the groups, when we did the first reading, we heard about all the people that were involved in the policy committee and supporting this, and having heard that broad support, I am willing to support it, but I find it a little concerning. I will support it.
Okay. Thank you for the comments, Jay. Having not heard much as far as what's going on within the schools, I'm presuming our administrators have not had significant difficulties keeping political activities, as it's in parentheses there, being a big problem, to keep that within the realms of not disrupting education. Is that a fair statement from our administrators? I'm seeing some heads nodding. Okay. Very good. Any other comments? If none, I'll ask for a vote on the motion of approving the second reading of policy GBIA. I would be a yes.
Earl Watts?
Yes.
Corey Dow?
I don't think you.
Yeah.
Jeff Riddell?
Did you have
Yes.
a motion?
I'm sorry. Somebody.
John, were you saying something?
I didn't hear a motion in a second. Did I miss it?
Yes, we did have a motion in second.
Okay, sorry.
Peter, did you get everybody?
The last I stopped with. Jay McIntyre?
Yes.
Nathan Tyler?
Yes.
John Ferry?
Yes.
That's it.
Okay, thank you all. Okay, so where are we here? Oh. Update on the current closure of the junior high and high school. Do you have more to add to that, Peter, from what you discussed previously?
No, I don't.
Nope. Okay. Very good. All right. Very good. So new business. Well, we have on there recognition of Corey Dow, our District 3 school board member. Corey is going to be leaving our board.
Am I supposed to be excited or sad? I don't know which.
What's sad? You might be excited.
Standing on.
Having worked with Corey on many fronts on the boards in his time, and I think even before he was on the board. In going back, I was thinking Corey's been on the board for longer than 3 years because there's been so much water that's been put over the dam in that 3 years. It seems pretty incredible, quite honestly. So it's hard to even comprehend that was all in 3 years. It's been quite 3 years. I'm sure Corey would agree with that. But I'd have to say, having worked with Corey on many fronts, I definitely, we're going to miss his hard work, his input. He's definitely contributed an awful lot in those 3 years, and he will be sorely missed. So, but I know where to find you. So
yes, yeah.
So, we do have a little something for you that Peter has.
Oh, nice.
Right there. So we'll get that to you.
Thank you. I like that.
Oh, but yeah, very much. Thank you, Corey. You've done a tremendous job in your 3 years, and obviously you've contributed in many ways to Winslow schools and different groups within the schools and the community, and it's definitely appreciated, and it's been very beneficial to many, more so than many people even realize. So thank you very much.
Sure. Thank you.
So I don't know how we can top that. So thank you, Corey. So, all right. I don't know if anybody else had anything to say. I did all the speaking, but just if anybody else wanted to pitch in there.
I can tell you that you're going to be surely missed both on the board, but on the committees. When we went through negotiation for the teacher's contract, Corey was a key person to add just the right thought to in the negotiations. That you're going to be really missed.
Corey, one of the things that's so crucial about a board member is to have a board member ask questions and then listen to the different responses and then make a decision based on the information that's at hand. And I've always found you to do that. There's never an agenda. There's always a question, always wanting to know more. And then you'd make your decision based on the information that you had or that you were able to get. And that's such an important piece because you're making decisions based on research and what's in facts. So I really appreciated that about you. And
in the best interest of all.
And Joel was right. You've been on almost every committee, everything the last 3 years, and I've been here this is my third year. So we've been together on a lot of things. So I truly appreciate your being there.
No problem.
Okay. Any other board members? All right. Very good. You will be missed, but life goes on, so we need to move on the agenda. So, next up, all right, we already had the JMG presentation. We have the audit report. I know I tuned in and listened to the audit report at the town council meeting, which is always an interesting take on things. Found that's interesting. If you ever get a chance to do that, that's interesting. I assume Peter has some input on his piece of the audit report.
Amanda and I tuned in on that report as well. And Amanda has put some slides together for you, brief slides to just kind of give you some of the highlights. So, the one thing that I will say to you is what you want to hear about an audit report is you want it to be very boring. And this was a very boring report, which is very good. So I'll let Amanda go through those slides and we'll kind of both talk about them.
Okay, yes. Can you hear me? I can't see you, so if you could just tell me.
Yep, it's good.
Okay, perfect. He also mentioned that his financial statement opinion was an unmodified opinion, which means it's clean. And once again, that's also what you want to hear from your auditor. He talked about the town getting revenues from the sale of Crow Rope and other revenues that were savings on the budget side for the school, which were, we were able to add to our fund balance about $548,000 due to the schools being closed. There were no sports, no substitute teachers that we were paying. We had savings on transportation. Field trips were not happening. Travel for professional development was not happening, and we were spending less money on school supplies. So all that added to our fund balance. And although this is an unusual addition to the fund balance, it's not like any other year, and it's not unlike many districts in the state. He said he's been seeing this all over the state.
I think one of the important things to note there was that, we don't know what the revenues are going to bring. We know that the revenue forecast is better than it originally was. They were first talking about $400 million shortfall in the state. Now it's $150 million shortfall. So we know that's better, but we don't know what it's going to do to our 279. Everyone is very concerned about students and the loss of students and what that's going to mean to us. Here in Winslow, we've lost about 50 students. Mostly have gone to homeschooling. A little over $7,000 per student. You can do the math. That would be the worst case scenario. So everyone has been taking a cautious approach. The state even said that they would allow us to go over the 3% increase in our undesignated fund for this coming year, knowing that there would be, some pretty tight budgets coming forward.
Between the town and the school, it was projected that about $1 million would be used out of the fund balance this year, which would have been $100,000 from the school and $900,000 from the town. Instead, what actually happened was that we gained $1 million in the combined fund balance for the town and the school. In 2019, the general fund expenditures had the school at 61.97%, and that is of the town and school general fund. In 2020, it went to 59.17.
I just want to go back to that one just for one quick second, because even though our costs increase, we've talked about this on a number of occasions, the cost, the savings from going into a 2-building campus, we originally predicted that would be about $340,000, and we were almost at $600,000 from that cost avoidance. And I shouldn't say savings; it was a cost avoidance. So we are avoiding those costs. It's not something you're going to see, but when you look at this and you see 61.9% of the general fund in 1 year, the following year 59.17, we did it. I mean, we've made those cuts. We were very lean going into that next school year, and we did exactly what we said we were going to do by moving to a 2-building campus. So even though some of those educational costs might seem like they keep growing, they do. We have needs, but we did exactly what we said we were going to do.
And although
John Ferry did have his hand up. John,
it can wait until the end of her presentation.
Okay.
Although educational costs decreased, debt service increased from 3.91% to 5.44%. And that's the school and town combined. And this was partially due to the bond for the new junior high wing and high school renovations. And lastly, he talked about our lunch program. He mentioned that our lunch deficit had a significant decrease. In 2019, we were in the red $208,000. And we have brought that down to $96,000 in the red. When school closed, we fell under the summer feeding program rules, which meant we could feed all kids. We were reimbursed for those meals, and we distributed them using the regular bus runs. As a result, we took a huge chunk out of that deficit. So that's definitely a positive. And that was about what we had to summarize.
John, go ahead with your question.
Yeah, I watched the auditor give his presentation online on TV, and one thing he stressed, and I think I agree with him, is that the fiscal year 2022 is actually going to be affected by the lack of tax revenue in the state of Maine and probably in a lot of states. And I think that part of our planning for the next budget, we should keep that in mind, that we're going to run into that for more than 1 year of this problem. It isn't going to be just the upcoming budget, but it'll be the following one as well.
That's a very outstanding point, John, because, you know, what I fear going into budget season is that somebody's going to look at that fund balance and say, you've got a bigger fund balance than you've ever had. So you ought to put more of that fund balance, you know, towards the revenue. Like, you know, last year, for the last few years, we've put $100,000 towards that. So yeah, we could put more towards it, but it would be a mistake to put a huge amount towards it, because as you say, John, in 2 years, we could be facing really, really bad issues here. So we need to take a look at that and have a plan for that.
With the amount of business closed, and with the amount of revenues from the hospitality industry, from the travel, there's a lot of negatives that are going to hit us in a wave as a state and as a community, because the state of Maine is not going to have the resources to give.
I agree with John that is definitely a big question. We'll definitely be hearing more about that. But, you know, we also have a number of, you know, comparing year over year budget's going to be difficult given last year's budget, you know, the actuals of last year's budget, the actuals of this year's budget. Everything is skewed many ways. They're far from the normal budget. So budgeting in next year will be challenging. Additionally, we do have some new council members that hopefully will, if they'll tune into some of our budget meetings and such, so we can, you know, they get a thorough understanding on what it is we're doing and how we budget and such. I think that would be beneficial as well in that process, because surely with the changeover of some long-term counselors that knew the process, you know, we'll have some new counselors that will need to learn the process, and it's surely not going to be an easy process, and it's surely not an easy year-over-year comparison to figure out where you're going either. So it'll be a lot of work on many fronts. Corey, you have your hand up?
Yeah, so any word of what's coming through from the stimulus bill that was passed today and how that may affect us at a local level?
It might kill us.
We know that there's $54 billion allocated for pre-K-12. What that means to us, you know, as it trickles down, we don't know.
This is another great opportunity, Corey, and it's a great opportunity. But once again, we don't know how much money it's going to be. We don't know what kind of timelines it's going to have. We don't know what type of stipulation it's going to have. We don't know what kind of. So there's a lot of rules that we don't know, and
I feel your pain.
It's all good. It's all good stuff. It's all good that we have some monies coming in, but again, the frustration part about this is that, the highlights in the newspaper is schools get money. What they aren't highlighting is that it's all on things that you normally wouldn't put in your budget. So you've got the mindset of some people say, you've got all kinds of money. Why do you need money? Well, we couldn't use it on things that you're supposed to use it on. We have to use it on things that are COVID related. Mm-hmm. Like we don't normally wear masks. We don't normally disinfect. We don't know, to the degree that we are. So
that is one of the things that when we were looking at these funds that we've already worked through, as Peter said, it has to be COVID related and could not be used to prevent any or fill a potential shortfall for the future, which we won't know whether those same stipulations are attached or whether there'll be any funds, but it can be frustrating.
There will be strings. There always are.
There was some thought that some of this money would go back to the local communities to help with the revenue sharing, which I thought would have been extremely helpful if they would have done that.
Yeah.
We'll see.
I think the bus decision was a smart one. It's going to pay off down the road a little bit.
Very good. Any other questions or comments? If not, we'll move along. We are running a little long here, so. Vote on appointments. So we have an appointment here for Jennifer Gagne for Interim Special Education Director.
Jennifer is with us here this evening. Jennifer, of course, has been one of the IEP coordinators for the past 3 years, Jennifer, here in Winslow, and the state agency client person as well for all three communities. Jennifer put her name in the hat along with other candidates and received a nod. So she's going to be the interim special ed director for the remainder of this year. She has a lot of work to think about in terms of how do we transition from what we had to now, and then think about next year as well. And what I mean by that is, of course, Jennifer had a job when she was here, so now she's a director and she's trying to absorb some of her job. And then we have another individual who was an IEP coordinator with us, who may or may not be with us for too much longer. So we have a lot of moving pieces right now that we need to figure out. And you'll notice that today we advertised, some of you may have noticed that we advertised for a part-time IEP coordinator to give Jennifer some relief for the remainder of this year until we can put the pieces together for next year.
Okay. Any other questions regarding this appointment? Obviously, somebody needs to do this work, so it's good that we have somebody that's willing to do that.
Thank you. I'm happy to do it.
Very good. Thank you. Definitely a trying year. It's a tough time to step into such a thing, but thank you. So we need to vote on the appointment. Do we have a motion to approve Jennifer Gagne for the interim special ed director?
So moved.
Was that you, Jay?
Yes, sorry.
Thank you.
Motion from Jay. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second from Corey. Any further discussion? Okay. All in favor of approving Jennifer for that interim special ed director? I'm a yes.
Earl Watts?
Sorry, on mute. Yes.
Corey Dow,
Yes.
Jeff Riddell,
Yes.
Jay McIntyre,
Yes.
Nathan Tyler,
Yes.
John Ferry.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Resignations, Peter would have already accepted those for Tanya Tebow.
No, we took, I'm sorry, Joel. I sent out a new agenda late this afternoon because Tanya has that in. So her name is off that resignation.
Oh, excuse me. I get the latest. Okay. So let's see. Revised agenda. Oh, there it is. I got it. Gotta get the right one. Yeah. Okay. So we have. Okay. So we have Jennifer. Obviously, where she's taking the other position, and Susan Simpson for an ed tech at the elementary school. Well, I know we usually take these a lot, but it's 2 votes either way. So do we have a motion to, well, the resignations, excuse me, Peter already accepted the resignation. So we're all set there. Excuse me. All right. Our other business is to go into executive session, but we talked about public comment. So I assume that it's on the website. If Will could chime in on that if people wanted to comment, now is their opportunity to call in and comment. Is that correct, Will?
Yes, the number on the website, which is the same number that people have been able to call in the past, is available.
Okay. So while we give people a moment to call in if they intend to, I will remind everybody that with Corey's leaving us on the board, that does leave an open school board position in District 3. So we definitely need somebody to fill that role. There's plenty of work to be done, so it would be nice to have candidate for that role. We have the ability to appoint to fill out the term. Nobody ran for the seat, which starts in January. So it is an open seat. So we are looking for a candidate for that. I think it would be great if we had a candidate to add a little diversity to our board. I think we got a bunch of nice guys here, but we could use a little diversity in the bunch. So, but a good qualified candidate would be great to have, because as of now we have none.
Where is
so
3 now? I'm trying to remember.
District 3 is pretty much Halifax Street over to Clinton Avenue, and those other streets on the other side of Clinton Avenue, such as Chadwick and those other streets along there. And it goes up to the, I forget exactly which number, but it doesn't go all the way out Clinton Avenue. It stops a short distance out on Clinton Avenue because that turns into District 5, I believe. But anyway, so it's that central area of in-town Winslow from Halifax over to Clinton and such. So we definitely need some candidates. I know there's some younger families that have been moving into some of the housing in that area, some of those homes that have been there, which is great. I see younger families as I drive through some of those areas. And so it'd be great to have, for those of us whose kids are now out of the school, it'd be great to have some candidates that came in that had some kids in our schools too, to provide that direct connection to what's going on in the schools on a daily basis. So go out and find us a good candidate, everybody. We haven't had any phone calls, I presume, Peter?
Nothing's ringing off the hook.
All right, that's good. So given that, our next order of business is executive session. So before we go to executive session, we do need to come out of executive session on the other end. And if we have any actions relative to executive session, that would be in public. And then our adjournment and such is obviously out of public session as well. So when we go into executive session, we have another link that we go to for our executive session. And when we complete that, we will come back to this link to complete our public session. So whoever wants to hang around in the public session can do so, and we will be back hopefully not too distant future. I don't think these things will take terribly long time, but hopefully not too long, and we'll be back. So given all that, what I'd like to do, since we have two executive sessions, I would be looking for a motion to, well, they're both for the same, they're both under the same MRSA, but we'll take two motions in seconds so that we have them both covered since we're doing this remotely and such. So, do I have a motion to go into executive session pursuant to 1 MRSA paragraph 405(6)A, assignment of officials, appointments, and employees for the technology technician contract? Do I have a motion to that?
So moved.
So moved by Earl. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second from Jay. Okay. Now I also need a motion to go into executive session pursuant to 1 MRSA paragraph 405(6)A, assignment of officials, appointees, and employees for the superintendent's evaluation and contract. Do I have a motion on that?
So moved.
Motion from Corey. Do I have a second? Who's my second?
Second, Jeff.
Second from Jeff. Okay, so we have a motion second on both. We will leave this link. We will go into the other link that you should all have a link in your email that I think arrived today, I think. And then we'll come back to this other link to finish our session. So I'll see you over there shortly.
You still have people on this call. I would have thought everybody's gone to bed at this point.
Yeah. These Kyle's in the comfy chair there. I would have been asleep by now.
Usually that's the case.
So are we gonna need to take two separate motions?
Yes. So let's see. Let me go back. I gotta get my want to get my agenda back up in front of me here. All right, where was it? It wasn't something that was, there we go. Okay. All right. Okay, so we got everybody back. Let's see. We got Earl, Nathan, Corey, John. Did we get everybody? Let's see. Gotta get the list format here. We got Jay back. We got Jeff. John. All right. I think we got everybody. All right. So we're back. All right. So, so we discussed the technology technician's contract, and do we have a motion on that discussion?
So moved.
So move. What are you moving? I did not direct
Moving
that
that
question.
we accept the contract as it was presented in executive session.
Second.
Okay. We have a second from Jay. Okay, any further discussion? Okay, all in favor of approving the technology technician's contract? I am a yes.
And Earl?
Yes.
Corey?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
Jay?
Yes.
Nathan?
Yes.
And John? John?
John?
I didn't realize I had turned off my mic. Yes.
Thank you.
All right, so it is approved. Okay, we also discussed the superintendent's evaluation and contract. Do we have a motion to approve? Who would like to make a motion?
Corey might want to.
I'll make
We'll let
a motion.
Corey go out with a fanfare.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the contract. What was it?
To extend the contract to
for another year for a 3% increase.
Okay, very good.
Second.
That second? All right, does that cover everything we need to cover on that motion, Peter?
I believe it is.
Okay, very good. Want to make sure we covering the bases. Okay, any other discussion on that? We did have discussion executive session. I will say publicly that Peter has done a superb job for our school district. We're very happy to have him. We really do appreciate the work that he does on behalf of the staff and students in the town of Winslow. He's obviously working very hard at it and is very much appreciated. And I don't know how else you can say that he's done an outstanding job for us.
Thank you, Joel. Thank all of you. Thank all of you. Team.
I think that sums that up, and we were going way long, so we could go on forever talking about how great job Peter's doing, but I'm sure he'd like to go to bed since he's got to get up early. All right. You talk about the benefits of time for all our staff, so we're going to give you a little time to sleep. So, is there any further discussion? I'm in favor of approving his contract with much enthusiasm.
Definitely.
Second, or yes.
Well, we already had the motion, so we're doing a roll call.
Earl Watts is a yes. Corey Dow.
Yes.
Jeff Friedel.
Yes.
Jay McIntyre.
Yes.
Nathan Tyler. John Ferry.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Definitely thank you. Okay. So we got you for another 3 anyway, even if you want to jump ship. So, all right. Next meeting is scheduled for January 25th, 2021, 6 p.m. Location to be determined. Hopefully we can all get together and all be happy together, but I'm not super enthusiastic about that happening that way, the way we love. So, but, so we'll do that. I don't know if there's any, who knows if there might be some opportunity for a special meeting before then. I will say our next meeting our first meeting in January will be an organizational meeting. So where we elect a board chair and a vice chair, and we also will go through our committee assignments. So if sometime before that meeting, Peter, if you could send out a list of all the current committee assignments, so everybody has an understanding where the openings are going to be, and if you have some interest in getting into some of those positions. Corey's leaving a few voids, so we definitely need some help in some of those spots, and also finding another board member. So with that being said, do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make the motion.
All right. Corey's last motion. Do we have a second? Earl's got a second. Okay. All in favor of adjournment? I'm a yes. I see hands up. Okay. All right. I see Nathan's hand now. All right.
I've got
Jeffy, you a yes?
924.
Okay.
All right.
See hand. All right. We're done.
Thank you.
all. Sorry for the long session, but
Nice holiday, everybody. If I don't see you, be safe.